All right, guys. So today, like it says in the description, I'm going to be going over the slow shuffle blues from earlier and just talking about some blues stuff in general. So just let me know in the chat if you are where you're watching from, and also just if the sound is okay, if you can hear everything pretty well or not. And we'll kind of go from there. But this is the slow shuffle blues. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that up and we'll talk through it. So on this blues, I'm doing two different things. I've got two different parts going on at the same time. One of them is kind of a guitar part. All right. So there's a guitar part with that kind of idea. Hold on one second. I've got to get these notifications out of here. And then the other part is just a traditional bass line that's mostly based on root notes. So we've got a lot of that kind of line. So we're going to be going through both those lines. Hey, Alan, how's it going? Good to see you. So we're going to be going through basically those two things. So one of them is more like simulating a guitar. The other one is just a bass line. And then we'll talk about how to solo over that. And I've got the loop pedal plugged in, so we can actually loop these parts. They're just both 12 bars long, so they're very long loops, just so you guys know. Hi, Seth. How's it going? Don't forget Stevie Vaughan style guitar solo on top of that. I don't know about that. We'll see what happens. I was going to hook up the effects, but decided it was best not to hunt for another chord to be able to do that. Hey, other Alan. All right. So we'll go ahead and jump right in on the guitar part of this. And basically, this is just a standard, I want to say it's a shuffle pattern on guitar, but it's used in a lot of different styles of blues. Sometimes you can swing it, sometimes you can play it straight. But basically, we're starting with what's essentially a power chord on guitar. We think about this as a fifth, the interval of a fifth, but we're playing at the same time on the bass. If you don't know what that means, that's the 7th fret on the A string and the 9th fret on the D string. So we're playing an E power chord, basically. And what I'm doing is I'm strumming with my fingernail on that. And you play that twice. Then we're going to reach our pinky over, but leave our pointer finger down. So now we've got the 7th fret on the A string with the 11th fret on the D string. I'm just strumming through those two strings. Just stringing the D string. Then we go back to the power chord, just the 7th fret on the A string and the fret on the D string. Okay, so far we've got. Okay. Then we've got a big stretch where we're going to do the 7th fret on the A string, 9th fret on the D string. Well, that's what we just did. So instead of that, we're going to reach our pinky all the way up to the 12th fret on the D string. So 7th fret on the A string, 12th fret on the D string. You can tell it's a very, very big stretch. And then we're going to go back to the 7th fret on the A string with the 9th fret on the D string. So far we've got. Then we're going to do the 11th fret with our pinky, and then 7th fret on the A string, 11th fret on the D string. And then back to that original power chord, 7th fret on the A string, 9th fret on the D string. So now we do the same exact frets for the next measure. We're just going to do them all on the D string and the G string instead of the A string and the D string. So that means 7th fret on the D string, 9th fret on the G string twice. Then reach our pinky out to the 11th fret, back to that power chord. Then reach our pinky up to the 12th fret, and then back to that original power chord, 7th fret on the D string, 9th fret on the G string. So we got, and then we got that big stretch, the 12th fret, back to the 9th fret, then the 11th fret, back to the 9th fret. And by the way, when I'm saying just the 11th fret, 9th fret, all that stuff, those were the G string notes, while the D string had the 7th fret being played the entire time with all of those other things. So very, very cool. And I think Alan posted twice, hi from Minnesota. That's pretty cool. I haven't been to Minnesota yet. I'd like to go there sometime, but I haven't been there yet. How is it over there? But back to this. Sorry, I get distracted really easily. Then we do the first measure 2 times. So then we do what the second pattern was twice. So basically it was like we're either doing the first measure pattern, second measure pattern that we just went over. So either on the A string and the D string, or the D string, but it's the same frets. So I'm not going to go over that part. But let's play that from the beginning, just up to 3, 4, up to the 6th measure. So here we go: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and change, then back again. We're going to change. And so basically, if you haven't figured that out yet, we're following a 12-bar blues pattern with these. So the first measure is starting on an E chord. Then when we go to the A chord on the second measure, this is called a quick change. So basically, in most 12-bar blueses, you have an E7 chord. Well, it's not always an E7 chord, but whatever the root of your key is, you have a chord that matches that. In this case, we're in the key of E. So we would have like an E7 chord for 4 measures, which means we'd play that pattern 4 times. But when we do a quick change, we're replacing only the second measure with a 4 chord instead, which in this case would be an A7 chord. So we've got the E7 chord going to the A7 chord, and that's our quick change. Then the rest of it's just like it was. We do 2 more of the E chords to round out what normally would have been 4 E chords. So that's that. And then the rest of the blues is exactly the same as would normally be, although we have an interesting turnaround on this one. So that's where we were going back to the A chord, where we normally go to the 4 chord in our blues. Then for measure 7 and 8, we'll be just doing that E pattern again for 2 measures. Then we've got a new pattern. This one's going to be the 9th fret on the D string and the 11th fret on the G string. And we're going to do that 2 times. Then we're going to reach our pinky over, which the pinky's on the G string 13th fret, but our pointer finger is staying in the same place, which is 9th fret on the D string. And that one's just going to stay there with all these notes. So I'm just going to give you the G string notes. So first we had 11, 11, then 13, then back to 11, then 14, then back to 11, and then back to 13, and then back to 11. So it's the same finger pattern that we've been doing in all these other places. We're just way over here on the 9th fret on the D string, which is a B note. So that means we're doing a B7 chord, which is our 5 chord in the key of E. That's theory stuff. Disregard that if that 5 is throwing you off. That was not a fret number or anything. So just keep that in mind. All right. So Seth, ironically, I'm getting distracted by your song title over there. The Stephen Cox's Distracted Blues. Yep. I should write a song called Distracted Blues, write words for it. And then Alan says, I can't stretch that far. So it's a really big stretch. What I'm doing to get that stretch, which that is a great point to make out, is all about the placement of this hand, right? So this is why a lot of people don't like playing blues patterns on the guitars, because it is a stretch. So I kind of like bring my hand in a little bit so that my pinky can reach, and then I am kind of stretching a little bit. But my thumb is not really high on the neck. If it's super high on the neck, you won't be able to reach there, probably. Although I seem to still be able to. But it is difficult. If you don't want to do that part, make somebody else do it on the guitar, and then you can play on the the bass part, which doesn't have any stretches like that. So that's kind of a little bit of a challenge there. seems like y'all are going to write words to the distracted blues in the side, but for the people that are watching the replay, I'll stick with this for a little bit. So that's the B7 pattern. Then we go back to our A7 pattern, which was the one where we had the 7th fret on the D string and the 9th fret on the G string. And then did the same exact finger pattern with the G string notes. And then we're going to do something different at the end. It's going to sound like this. So this is the last two measures of the 12-bar forms. This is measure 11 and measure 12. So what I'm doing there is the 7th fret on the A string with the 9th fret on the D string 2 times. Then the 11th fret is where my pinky is going on the D string, but my pointer finger is staying on the 7th fret on the A string. Then back to the power chord, 7th fret on the A string and the 9th fret on the D string. I'm just strumming those 2 strings once again with my fingernail, like every other chord that we've been doing here. So that's that. Then we go up to the D string and the G string. D string 7th fret, G string 9th fret twice. Then we'll play the 11th fret once again on the G string, but our pointer finger stay in the same place, which is the 7th on the D string. Then back to the 7th fret on the D string with the 9th fret on the G string. So far we've got. And then measure 12 is going to be this. So these are all power chords, which means we're going to have 1 fret empty between the 2 notes that we're pushing down on, and we're just playing 2 notes. So here this will be the 7th fret on the A string with the 9th fret on the D string. Then we're going to immediately go up to the 7th fret on the D string with the 9th G string. Then move both those notes up a fret to where you have 8th fret on the D string and 10th fret on the G string. And then one more time, move it up 1 fret, 9th fret on the D string with the 11th fret on the G string. And after we hit that, we kind of hold it out, and then we play 3 more of them. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's our whole pattern for this guitar part. So let's play through that whole thing. And I say guitar part. This is kind of what someone would do on guitar. Of course, they'd have open strings to make less stretches and make this a little bit easier on guitar. So something to keep in mind, this is a little bit painful on the hand. And you may want to loop it and then not have to play it again. That might be the secret here. So let's see what's going on. Oh, sorry to hear there's a bad connection, Alan. Is everybody else able to see things pretty clearly? Is everything doing fine this week on the stream? Sorry that your connection's not great, Alan. Okay, so Seth said, if this was a real blues song, what notes would you use to bridge to this song? A lot of blues songs don't have bridges, so that's one way to do it. Is kind of not have a bridge. Some people will just take out the first 4 bars. They'll do something where they go to the 4 chord right at the top of the bridge. So that's something we could do, is just go to the 4 chord and then do something slightly different there at that point. Or we could just follow out the form from the 4 chord as another option. Or we could add stops. A lot of people do like kind of things, right? Or just something where there are stops on where the 1 chord would be. And they probably take out the quick chip there. We're going to do that and just do 4 of the pattern based around an E. But let's, I digress. Let's go back here and we will play through from the guitar part just all the way through the 12 bars. I'm going to loop it this time. So when I get done, I'm going to hit the loop pedal and hopefully it'll have looped. But you can just stop at the end of this if you're just playing along with me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. sped up as I went, you can kind of tell. But now we've got that looped. So what I'll probably do is after it goes around, well, I'll probably have to play the bass part along with that and then loop it the second time, or come in on the second measure and actually go to play there. All right. Hello, Hunter. How's it going? Hey, Preston. How are you doing? Thank you all for tuning in. So we just played through the guitar part. That might have been a little fast for some of you guys just getting used to this guitar style of playing on the U bass. So we may want to do that again here in a minute slower. But for now, I think we'll play the bass line and then come back to it, because I think more of you guys want to know the bass line. So the bass line, it's pretty root note oriented, which means maybe 80% of it will just match whatever chord. So if you're looking at the sheet music, the first measure is an E7 chord. So most notes in that measure are going to be an E. And this has a little bit of a swung rhythm. I didn't mention the swing rhythm on the guitar part, but long, short, long, short, long, short. This is going to match with that as well, except for occasionally we're going to have little triplet fills. So it might be like long, short, long, short, long, short, triplet, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. You know, goes back and forth. Sometimes there's a triplet and sometimes there isn't. So here's what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, that's not what it sounds like. I forgot what I did there. Sorry. Yeah, so I didn't do quite that many walk-ups. So I'll just play the last 4 measures for you just to make that easier, so you can figure out what happens there. From the B7, from the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I did it late anyway. 3, 4. Wow, I can't remember what I played, and for some reason I'm getting distracted by the chat again. Let me get that first, and then we'll kind of lock in on it. Awesome. So add some drumming percussion. Yeah, I probably will do that on the loop. I decided to leave it out so that you guys could hear the parts and not add a percussion track to the original video earlier this week. Okay, so here's the last 4 measures. Hopefully this time I'll play it correctly. I don't know why I'm kind of not, but here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the idea, and I just ended on an E to make it a little bit easier to kind of round it out. But I'm going to play that over this loop here so you guys can hear it. Let me see what the tempo's like. Okay, so I'm going to count you in, and then, well, I'll just play through it. But basically, most of it's root notes. So if you wanted to, if you have the tab, you can play along with me. If you don't, you can either go to last week's video and pause the video on the parts, or you can go become a patron and print out the sheet music and stuff. But yeah, there is a membership fee being a patron. So if you don't want to do that, you can totally just pause the video if you'd like to, from earlier this week, the slow shuffle blues video. Okay, but here's what it sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Starts over. And as you can tell, the loop sped up a little bit. So the first measure, I'm just playing basically 7 open notes with the swung rhythm, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So up to beat 4. And then I'm going to play the 3rd fret and the 4th fret on the E string to walk into the 5th fret on the E string, which is our A note. So we've got E, 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 A, 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 A. And then we'll be hitting A's all the way through beat 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that many A's, 7 A's total, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then we'll hit a 3rd fret on the E string after that. So the first 2 measures, E, 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 3, 4, 5, A, 3. I don't know why I'm telling you the fret numbers and the letters. So let me just say what it is. It's all on the E string right now. O, 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 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 3. And if you want the letters, it's E, 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 G sharp. Sorry, E, 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 G, G sharp. It's hard to say G, G sharp that quickly. E, 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 G, G sharp, A, A, G. And then the next measure is just all E's. That's 8 E's. And in that 4th measure, we're going to be walking into an A slowly. So if you're familiar with the walk-ups in the blues, that's just one of the cliche walk-ups. And that's going to be the open to the 2nd fret, to the 3rd fret, to the 4th fret on the E string. And we're going to play 2 of each of those. Okay. And then that leads us to the 5th fret on the E string, which is an A note, because we're playing an A chord there on the guitar along with this, an A7 chord to be specific. And we're going to play the 5th fret 6 times, followed by the 4th fret on the A string and the 7th fret on the A string. So then we're going to do a very similar measure, only the ending is going to be different. We're going to do the 5th fret on the E string 7 times, followed by the 3rd fret on the E string. Okay, and then that'll lead us back to an E chord. So we'll have the open E string. And so that's going to be the let's see, is that 6 E's, open E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or you can think 1 and 2 and 3, and if you're trying to go with the counting. And then you're going to play the 4th fret on the E string and the 2nd fret on the A string. And then you've got a measure that we're going to walk into a B note. So we're going to do the open E string twice, then 4th fret on the E string twice, then 5th fret, then 6th fret twice for all of those. And then we end up on the 7th fret on the E string, which is our B note. And there we're going to play that one 6 times, followed by a little arpeggio. So that's 6 times of the 7th fret on the E string. And then we're going to play the 6th fret on the A string and the 9th fret on the A string. And then we're going to go back for an A chord. So that was our B7 chord. Now we're going back to the A7 chord for the people following along on the music. This is measure 10. We're going to play the 5th fret on the E string 6 times. And then we've got this little walk-up thing that's just kind of cool. It's just into the 5th. It's just 5th fret, 6th fret, and 7th fret on the A string. So first we got 5th fret on the E string 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then triplet thing at the end. You can hear those notes at the end are a little bit faster. Okay? And then the turnaround sounds like this. So this part's a little tricky. It's fast moving compared to everything else on here because there are just more triplet figures. There's 2 triplet figures in measure 11. So we're going to end up hitting 3 open E strings. And then really quick, we're going to go 3, 4, 5. So 0, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5. So 3 opens, then 3, 4, then 3 5s, all on the E string. 3 5th frets, all on the E string. And then we're going to do a little walk up into the 7th fret on the A string. So 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret. So far we've got 0, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 7 on the A string. That 5, 6, 7 was on the A string. So then this is weird. Right after that, we've got a little walk up. 5th fret on the A string, 6th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the A string, but the rhythm's different. It's not a triplet this time. Dum, ba-dum, bum is the rhythm instead of da-da-da-dun or anything like that. Dun, da-dun, dun. So that 7th fret is a long note. The 5th fret is short. The 6th fret is long. And then the 7th fret is going to be an even longer note because even though it starts on the and, it's tied over to the next 8th note. So it ends up being like a beat and a half, or really, since we have song rhythm, it's more like a beat and a third. But that's not really super important. Just know that this last measure sounds like... And I threw my hand up there to show you that I'm holding out that 7th fret once I get there. So if we start on the 7th fret on the A string in this measure, then the 5th fret on the E string, 6th fret on the E string, 7th fret on the E string, and we hold it up. Then 2 more 7th frets on the E string, and then the 3rd fret on the E string. So I think before we do a run through of the entire bass line, I just want to run through measure 11 and measure 12 with you guys a little bit slower, since that's the hardest part. So here's how it sounds. So that's it, but we're going to do it a little bit slower than that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so that, and now we'll do a run through the entire bass line without the looper, and then I'll loop it after that. And I might need to loop both parts again because I did speed up on that one, so it's kind of weird that it starts slow up fast. So I'll probably do something there as well. But let's start from the beginning for now. This is the bass part from the beginning to the end of the 12 bars. We do repeat it, but don't worry about that for now. There is a second ending that I forgot about with the guitar and the bass, but we can, the guitar part, meaning on the E bass, and then the bass line itself, but we'll talk about that at the end. It's just in the place of the turnaround. So just the last 2 measures, 11 and bar 12, we'll be changing that up. So I'll go over that after this. So here we go, the entire bass line, or the entire 12 bar bass line from the beginning. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We'd start over at that point if we wanted to do it again. So let me see what you guys are saying on the chat now that we've gotten through the bass line. See if you guys have any questions about it. Oh, you put slow in parentheses. Yeah, it's slower, I should say. If you want me to do it even slower than that, let me know. If there's a certain section that you'd like me to break down even more, other people probably would like that as well. So just let me know if there's a specific spot that you want me to go in and break down a little bit slower than that. And hopefully that's good. And I'm not sure if I'm still here, but thank you for hanging out. We'll keep going though. So that's the whole entire 12 bar. But the second time through, so we do that whole thing once that we just did. The second time through, we play all the way through measure 10, And then instead of what's on that first page, if you have the music in front of you, we're going to skip over that and go to the second ending. And the second ending bass line is going to be an ending that I'm sure you've all heard before. And that's going to be all on the E string, the way we're doing it right now. Open, open 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, and then first fret, and then the open E string again. So all that was on the E string. 0, 0, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 1, 0. Okay. So then there's a guitar part going along with that. And that sounds more like this. So for that one, we've got these little power chords at first. 7th fret on the A string, 9th fret on the D string 2 times. Just strum them down with your fingernail. Then we've got this little bit more of a stretch chord. Next on the D string, we're going to be doing the 6th fret on the D string and the 9th fret on the G string. 2 of those as well. Then we've got our little power chord here where it's 7th fret on the D string and 9th fret on the G string. Then we're going to scoot just the 9th fret up. Sorry, did I say the 9th fret? We're going to scoot just the 7th fret up to the 8th fret on the D string. The 9th fret on the G string will stay the same. And then we do that 2 times. And then we go back to the 7th fret on the A string with the 9th fret on the D string. And we kind of hit that note 1 time, then pause. Then we scoot up 1 fret. So we have the 8th fret on the A string and the 10th fret on the D string. And then back to that original power chord, 7th fret on the A string with 9th fret on the D. So let's do that slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that's the ending. So like I said, that's just in the place of measure 11 and 12, we end up doing that the second time around. Okay, so I can't loop that ending. So that makes it a little bit trickier, right? Because the loop pedal, I'd have to loop 24 bars if I wanted the ending to be there as well. So what I'm probably going to do is loop the guitar part first and make sure that I have the right speed that I want carried all through. And then I'm just going to do 1 time around. And then when I get to the end, I don't know what I'll do because I could go. I wonder if I could do both at the same time. It's kind of a silly idea. Yeah, it's really a pain in the hand. I could, but it's really weird. And this part won't work. So having to hit the open string and having to scoot back there, that's not going to work very well. So I guess what I'll do is just leave out the ending for now. We'll just do the 12-bar form and loop it. I think we'll do it a touch faster, if that's okay with you guys. And if there's a part that you want me to slow down and do again toward the end, just let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and loop this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Might have hit that a little too fast. So I gave it an extra time around, started the bass line a note late, so I just looped around to add that note on the second time. It's one way to do that. Okay, cool. So Seth's enjoying it being a touch faster like that. So still a slow blues. It's still got that kind of like chunk to it, kind of groove to it. Turn it down a touch. So now that we've got that, we can talk about how to solo over it. So here, it's mainly the way you'd solo over any blues progression. The way to start is just kind of learn the E minor blues scale. And it's just called the E blues scale, but it's based off a minor pentatonic scale. Right? So that's going to be the 7th fret on the A string, the 10th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the D string, the 8th fret, then the 9th fret, both on the D string. Then we've got the 7th fret on the G string and the 9th fret on the G string. So now we just mix those up, basically. We hold them out for different lengths of time. And sometimes repetition is actually kind of nice on the blues. I added one note that technically wasn't in the blues scale, but it was a passing tone that kind of made sense. But let's talk about one thing that you could do of this like minor pentatonic that we're doing. We could just take the 7th fret on the G string and the 9th fret on the G string. Just go back and forth between those and kind of do a repetitive pattern there. Kind of change it up a little bit and just have fun with that. And then we could also go to the 9th fret on the D string and kind of start there. 9th fret on the D string, 7th fret on the G string, and 9th fret on the G string, and just play those over and over again, kind of like this. Or do it backwards. Do 9th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the G string, and the 9th fret on the D string. And that's a repetitive pattern. You can really play over most of it. And then kind of just hit a note to get out of that. So you can build tension that way by just repeating a short phrase like that. You can add hammer-ons. Right? And so that's just a good way to get started. And then you can use the rest of the blues scale, just going up and down with varying rhythms to kind of fill out the scale. And yeah, I did a bend there toward the end because Seth is right. Bending also sounds really good. Bending a whole step is hard to do on U bass. So that'd be like bending the 7th fret to where it matches the pitch of the 9th fret. That's kind of hard to do. So I'm going to suggest that you just bend the 7th fret on the D string to where it sounds like the 8th fret on the D string, and then bend it back. So that's kind of another thing you can kind of do here and there. All right. So that's really kind of the main thing. Is just start with repetitive patterns in the minor pentatonic, kind of like box shape kind of thing. And leave a lot of space the first time around. So you have room to go, and then you can make it more repetitive. Right? And then you can add some of that blue note stuff, which is the 8th fret on the D string, and you can bend into that from the 7th fret, or you can hammer on pull off kind of thing. And then I'm doing the 10th fret on the A string a lot too. And then the other thing to think about is whatever chord you're on, you're either on an E chord, an A chord, or a B chord. You could kind of revolve around that note a little bit when you're over that chord while you're soloing. So it's kind of like you want to be aware of what chord you're over in order to do that. But it's kind of good to have an awareness of what's going on in the music behind you while you're soloing, so you're not just like aimlessly using the blues scale, but kind of doing that. And Seth's right, using this works well too. So just remember that you can always do that as well. So you could slide. You could slide between any of those notes we were talking about. So there's some hammer-ons, then you can do some bends, or you can slide. So that's something else that you can do as well. But you combine all of these things with leaving space in interesting places. So if you're leaving a lot of space at first, especially, you kind of introduce an idea, and then you can repeat it more and more, and then develop it more and more, meaning changing the order of it, adding more notes to it, and kind of make your solo really build. So what I'll do is I'll start with something simple, with a lot of space, and then just add more and more to it to try to increase the intensity and give the solo kind of an arc where it's like it's simple and very like a lot of, there's a lot of space. Then it gets busier and busier and busier. And then you could either bring it back down or keep it busy all the way until someone starts singing again or whatever happens in the song. So I guess I'll just kind of go with that. So I'll leave a lot of space at first. Right? Might add a little vibrato, although you can't really hear it that much. Some slides. So I'm making it a little bit busier there, but there's still a lot of space. And the second time around, I'm adding a lot more notes. Resolving to the note, that root note of the chord I'm over. So therefore, I landed on that E right over the E chord. Right? And then kind of matching up with some of the parts that are going on behind me just to kind of bring it out at the end of the solo. Yep. Lots and lots of space, a little bit of slides, a little bit of hammer-ons. I don't think I did any bends that time. I added a passing note in there that wasn't in the scale, and that's just basically the 8th fret on the G string in between the 7th and 9th fret on the G string, just to kind of give it a little more for effect than anything else than the other notes. So hopefully that gives you some ideas on soloing over the blues, and especially soloing over the slow blues. It's really about leaving a lot of space, adding a lot of slight variations of things, just nuance, right? So slides are great, bends are great, hammer-ons and pull-offs, little hammer-on pull-off combinations where you start on the 7th fret of the D string, hammer on to the 8th fret, and then pull back off to the 7th fret. Those are really helpful. Right? right? And then just kind of doing repetitive patterns as you get into it to build intensity. Leave a lot of space right at the beginning so that you have room to grow, because if you start at your most intense playing where you're playing really, really fast right off the bat, you really have nowhere to go, right? The only thing you can do later is make it slower, which kind of and add more space, which almost has a fizzle out sort of effect sometimes. There are people that can make it effective and bring you in that way when they bring it back down. But when you're starting, I think it's better to leave space at the beginning and leave yourself room to grow. So it's like your solo builds intensity until the end. So that's what I would do there. Then that's really about it. Do any of you guys have any questions about this blues in particular, or any comments of stuff that you could add to it, or that you'd like to hear over it, or something of that nature? I went ahead and deleted the loop, so I can't just kind of go back and play over it again. But let me know if you have any questions about that, or questions about the U-bass in general at this point. And I'll play something for a minute while we wait on that. Do like a quicker blues kind of thing, since we're doing blues. Let's see. I don't like that. I've changed the pattern right off the bat. So let me try it one more time. Something like that. Pretend that last slide isn't there. And so Seth says, would you recommend a really good intro for it? And as far as intros go, with that, you could either vamp on the one chord for the intro. You could add just sometimes with slow blues is stuff like Stormy Monday. People will just kind of arpeggiate an interesting chord. So it might be like a seventh chord, or it might have the ninth in it. It might be a flat chord, just something a little more interesting than a straight up seventh chord, you know? So if we were doing an intro to the E, the slow shuffle blues in E, then we'd probably do the 5 chord. So we could just do a 7th chord like that, or we could add something more to it. Right? Like a flat 5. I wanted to add a flat 9, but I think that would be kind of tricky. Let's see. Yeah, so that might be kind of interesting, and then just kind of come right into it. So you could do that kind of intro, or you could just vamp on the 1st chord up until that. Most people do some sort of intro, like the drums might just go bum, bum, bum to lead you into it, just some sort of drum intro. But yeah, you could add an intro to that. I think with the slow shuffle blues, really, it's just the idea of getting these patterns down before worrying about stuff like that. Most songs will just have an intro. But those are some common ones where a guitar player will just play a chord, and then the drums will kind of lead it in. Pop, bum, bum, you know, that kind of thing. Triple it, boom, bum, 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 bum. So, you know, it just comes in with stuff like that. But yeah, that's a great suggestion. So anybody else have any questions about blues or the U-bass? I'm going to solo over this thing that I just made a second ago that Seth says sounds like Red House. A little bit. It's got that kind of vibe. There's some other songs that have a more similar bass line to that even than Red House, but I can see where you're going with that. It is the same set of notes pretty much. That kind of thing. I didn't start with leaving enough space the first time, so I kind of ran out of places to go. So I had to make things even busier and busier to keep the intensity going up. So that's just a good kind of thing to keep in mind. If you're going to have a solo over the blues, keep it simple at first so that you have room to grow. Because if you're playing at your maximum speed and your maximum intensity, there's just nowhere to go after that. So it's more effective to just make everything simple, state very, very simple patterns, and then go from there. So does anybody else have any questions, or are you guys pretty good on the blues and pretty good on all this stuff? If not, I'm probably going to go ahead and go. So I'll give you a minute or two just to kind of have some I might actually need to go. So I need to have a phone call with somebody because they're having a rough night. So I will talk to you guys later. It seems like we're kind of all out of questions anyway. But thank y'all so much for joining the stream, and I will see you next week for a video and for the live stream on next Thursday. Yeah, as far as the Jazz Fest, I can't make the Jazz Fest, but I might be able to make the Monday, but I can't make the weekend. It's pretty cool that there's one in Atlanta, but I can't quite make it. So I will talk to you guys later. I hope you'll have a good week. And Seth, let me know how the Jazz Fest goes. If you get to see Ron Carter, maybe take video or something so I can check it out the next time I see you. All right. Have a good one. Take care, everybody. And I will see you next time.